published extensively in UGC Care listed and Scopus indexed journals and has also contributed multiple book chapters with reputed international publishers such as IGI Global, particularly in the areas of ethics, sustainability, and social responsibility. In addition to his scholarly publications, Dr. Gupta is a patent holder for developing a composite social responsibility index for banks, highlighting his innovative and applied approach to research. His academic interests span corporate governance, sustainable finance, CSR, and public sector banking. With his strong research credentials, interdisciplinary perspective, and commitment to academic excellence, Dr. Vipul Gupta is a valuable resource person for FDPs and other academic professional forums. Thank you, sir, for joining with us today. We now request you to kindly take over the session.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful introduction. So I need to start my session today with a small video clip. Then we will be discussing about what I'll be discussing through that video clip. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just sharing that video clip. Okay, is it visible and is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, I'm playing it. Just on this context, we will hold a session.
आपको इतने बड़े बड़े बिजनेस का एक्सपीरियंस है, इसीलिए कौन कहता है बिजनेस करने के लिए एक्सपीरियंस लगता है? तो इस्पात के अंडकोश लगते हैं। इस्पात के अंडकोश, बॉल्स ऑफ स्टील, स्टील, हाँ, टन। अब ये देखो, हमारी बॉडी में 75% पानी है, पृथ्वी पे 71% है, और 450 करोड़ सालों से ये पानी फ्री। फिर एक दिन एक डेढ़ शाना आता है और 20-20 रुपये में बेचता है, और दुनिया के कुछ चूतिए उसे खरीदते हैं। मोरल ऑफ द स्टोरी, अगर बेचना आता है तो कुछ भी बेच सकते हैं। पर ये आइडिया कैसे बना? अच्छा, तेरा आइडिया रायता है, फैलेगा। थैंक यू तन्मय भाई। गलत चीज बेच रहा है, मतलब सूप तेरा प्रोडक्ट है, सूप कोई बेच रहा है। कस्टमर को तो प्रोडक्ट ही चाहिए ना। कस्टमर को घंटा पता है। कस्टमर तो कस्टमर तो जिसे बेचना है उसे थोड़ी बेचते हैं। तो तू, तेरी कहानी, वर्दी तेरा हीरो है, कहानी को नहीं, हीरो को बेच, हीरो को। कस्टमर का दिमाग गन्ने के खेत के जैसा होता है, जिसमें हजारों गन्ने होते हैं और एक एक गन्ना एक एक प्रोडक्ट होता है। दिमाग पूरा प्रोडक्ट से भरा हुआ है। लेकिन ब्रांड, ब्रांड क्या है? क्या है ब्रांड? एक सांड है, सांड, सांड है। और ये सांड गन्ने के खेत में घुसता है और बाकी गन्नों को चीरता हुआ निकल जाता है और अपनी जगह खुद बनाता है। तो वर्दी को ब्रांड बना। 70 साल का रॉक स्टार सेक्सोलॉजिस्ट, ब्लॉकबस्टर ब्रांड यू है, उसको बेच, बिकेगा तो फंडिंग में लाके दूंगा।
Okay, so let me discuss now few things that this video clip has shown. If I literally talk about the video clip has shown that the idea he has, that's a very good idea, but the thing is he don't know how to pursue with that idea. He really don't know how to pursue with that idea. But second thing is he actually don't know how to go up with that idea. And the third thing which we can notice from this is what the last word which Paresh Rawal told, that do this thing, I come up with finance. So what I need to focus on here is finance. The word finance. Hold together the conversation discussed about what? Last part. That is finance. Means you can start with your own business, but the finance Paresh Rawal will bring. So the basic thing is the today's session is on ethical, sustainable, and inclusive entrepreneurship. I've took an Indian perspective, but if I talk about, you might be because this is last day of entrepreneurship, discussing about entrepreneurship daily. But today is what I'll start with inclusive. If I talk about inclusivity, no doubt everybody, as I am a professor in IIM University teaching to MBA students, everyone wanted to do MBA in order to get a job. But nobody is thinking to start his or her own business. Why? You know, interviewing some of the students, interviewing some of my friends, interviewing some of people, I came across they fear inclusivity. Now, what is this inclusivity? I'm starting the session ethical, sustainable, and inclusive entrepreneurship in with inclusive entrepreneurship first. Means we are always in a fear that I'll not be able to join those businesses either because of lack of finance or because of my whatsoever finance I have, I may lost it, or many other such reasons. So the basic thing is what? We are always in a dilemma whether to do entrepreneurship or not. That is the reason, if you go through the schemes of government of India, they've come up with Make in India campaign came in 2015. Since 10 years, this scheme have come up, but we as teachers and students don't know about this concept. Again, if I literally talk about uh, inclusivity, we always don't cater to know about priority sector lending that came up in India in 1972, in which 40% of the loans which are given to medium small scale industries and entrepreneurs, means 40% of loans at very less rate of interest is being given to them, but banks are not disclosing it to the customers, and we being the students and teachers, and we being educated enough, we don't know about it. And that is what we don't get inclusive in entrepreneurs as well. So starting with today's session, I am just so let's start. This is my topic for today, as you all know. Now, moving towards the content today, what I'll be considering today, what I'll be discussing in the slides or in this session. If I talk about, we'll discuss little a bit about the introduction that I have discussed with the small video clip. Then we'll be discussing about ethical considerations in Indian entrepreneurs. Then we'll be discussing about sustainable entrepreneurship in India. Then we will discuss again about inclusive entrepreneurship and how it is empowering the communities. Then we will be discussing surely about technology, because today, if one way or the other, we are always talking about AI in education, AI everywhere, and we come up with, and as being a professor, I always see students submitting their assignments using AI or ChatGPT or Gemini, or you can say many such softwares that are enabling. But how this technological innovation suits for today's topic that I'll discuss, then I'll be discussing more about what is the role of education and awareness and entrepreneurship with regard to inclusivity, sustainability, and ethical concept of entrepreneurship. Then we will conclude it together by whole discussion. So moving forward towards part one, that is introduction. If I talk about core goals, today we are talking about ethical framework. If I talk about ethics, we being Indians, we believe in Vedas. If I talk about from the terminologies, if I talk about ancient India was actually divided into caste: Brahman, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Shudras. This is the caste that is being followed, and all are assigned their ethical works. Brahman has been assigned to be ethical in order to give knowledge to other people. So if I talk about uh, Vaishyas and Kshatriyas used to go for fighting the wars for the kings, and that is what the ethics they are playing for themselves. Okay, so this is how the ethics are being studied from the Vedas in India. But here the core goal is examine the ethical framework in entrepreneurship. In entrepreneurship, if I talk about entrepreneurship, if I take an example of Brahman, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Shudras, Kshatriyas became the entrepreneur class of Indian origin. And how they formed, how they transformed basically from sustainable practices, from traditional practices to sustainable practices, and how this inclusivity come up that we will be doing in the coming slides. So focus area is highlighting traditional values like honesty and integrity and sustainability with inclusivity. Whensoever a business is being started, if I being a doctorate in economics and studying economics, I always talk about entrepreneurship. First of all, was given by Schumpeter. And if I talk about Schumpeter gave, as an economist, he gave the concept of entrepreneurship, who innovate, who come up with new invention, and that invention brings up the business. So that business which entrepreneur is carrying out, as in terms of Schumpeter, in words of Schumpeter, that carries some traditional values such as honesty and integrity in today's context. What is that and how it is so? Let's discuss that now. So if I discuss the defining concepts, first of all, the ethical entrepreneurship. That is what I am discussing just few minutes back. I'll please don't confuse yourself. I'll be coming to what I've shown you in the start of my session, that the video that I'll be coming, and that I'll be discussing in whole together a detail after just few slides. I'll be discussing that. So in order not to get you confused about that, and let's try having a knowledge of concepts first. Then we will be discussing in detail how that finance that Paresh Rawal has told is very, very important in inclusive entrepreneurship, that we will be discussing in the coming session, in the coming slides. So now, if I talk about key concepts such as, I have used the word ethical entrepreneurship. What is that? You must know ethical entrepreneurship and ethical entrepreneurship. So if I talk about traditional values, if I talk about ethics, if I talk about social responsibility, basically you might have heard about social responsibility these days, because because of corporate social responsibility, basically, that have became mandated in 2013 by Companies Act 2013. Okay, so because that have been mandated by Companies Act 2013, social responsibility only phases or shapes the ethical practices. And these ethical practices are phased for who? For the society, for the for the trust of investors, for the trust of stakeholders, including investors, including customers, including all those who are being benefited from that very business. So if I talk about sustainable and inclusive entrepreneurship, this sustainable venture is a venture that must not harm the environment. If, for example, we are doing a business and that business is creating a problem to environment, that is creating a problem such as climate change, that is creating a problem such as including problems such as uh, rising inequality, reducing disparities and such problems. So that is not sustainable. So sustainable venture is what? Sustainable venture or sustainable business is what? That must not harm the environment. That must not harm the environment. That is sustainable and inclusive. If I talk about inclusive, as I started, we are always excluded from the society to do a business. Why so? Either there are lack of funds, or either uh, we don't want to do it because of ignorance, or either we are fear. We have fear in our mind that that if we invest money in entrepreneurship, we might lose it. So that is also reason. So so how these inclusive and other things must be taken care of, that I'll be discussing in the few more slides. So now coming to part two about the ethical consideration in Indian entrepreneurship. So let's discuss about ethical decision-making frameworks. So there are ethical decision-making frameworks. This is divided into three. The first one is utilitarian application. Second one is deontological principle, you can say. And the third one is virtue ethics development. This ethical decision making or ethical entrepreneurship is based on these three principles. If I talk about utilitarian application, this is based on maximizing the stakeholders' welfare. If I talk about stakeholder can be anyone uh, who is benefiting from the business, like customers, like investors, or the entrepreneur himself. So how? And this is based on maximizing the stakeholder welfare, and by evaluating business decisions, and how in altogether these business decisions are actually impacting the economic landscape or impacting the economy. That is very important. How this principle, how this business, how this entrepreneurship idea is actually impacting the economic landscape, and that is utilitarian application. If I talk about deontology principle talk about moral duties. As we being Indians, we always talk about moral duties. As whensoever someone arrives at a house, some elder arrives at a house, we always used to touch their feet. That is what the moral duties we carry. Always. Because I still remember, as my mother always used to say, whosoever you meet is of elder age to you, you may actually bow down and you may touch the feet to take blessings, because that is what we teach to our students, that is what we teach to our kids, that is what we teach to our family members too. So that this deontology principle actually talk about prioritizing the moral duties. Like whenever if we are doing some business, we must be honest towards it. We must be fair toward it, and we must respect the consistency in that. That we Because this carries what? This somewhat carries your longitudinous in customer acceptance. Means if you will be biased towards a business, if you create a problem, then customers will not get attracted, and that will be a problem. This is what the deontology principle states. Then virtue ethic development, again, this if I talk about virtue ethics development, this talks about the traits such as courage, such as integrity and compassion towards resilient and principled leaders in Indian businesses. So altogether, Indian ethical decision-making frameworks composes of utilitarian principle or utilitarian application, deontology principles, and then virtue ethics principle. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, moving forward. You can write in the chat box if you have any problem.
Yes, sir, there is no question.
Okay.
I think the
So
topic
if I
is
talk
clear to the participant. Yes.
Okay, so I ask everyone, if you have any problem, you can give a thumbs up, or you can ask question in the chat box. I'll be a little slower then. So taking the cases now, if as a professor in management, we always used to take cases, and we always used to study from the cases. If I really wanted to teach ethical failures, if I wanted to teach ethics and entrepreneurship first, then I can, whenever I talk about ethics, two cases usually come to mind. One is Satyam scandal case that you already know, I hope you know. And the second is Kingfisher Airlines case that you know about, Vijay Mallya's case. Satyam Computers case, you might be knowing, that's pretty, I think 1992 it has come. It's long back that have come up. So Kingfisher Airlines case is Vijay Mallya's case. I think you all know about it. So if I talk about Satyam scandal lesson, that was a collapse of corporate governance through fraudulent accounting, by eroding the trust of the people, by disrupting the trust of the people, by by becoming untransparent, by not giving exact picture of financial reporting, and by creating some such problems, means showing the inflated profits in the balance sheet, that have created such a problem. And do you if I really ask you again to go for Satyam Computers, will you be able to go? No, never. Because you actually lost trust in that business. So that is why, why business ethics are very, very important. Why ethic, whenever we talk about ethical entrepreneurship, it's somewhat related to business ethics. Means you are doing a business that must be ethical enough to attract more of customers. Because as an economist, whenever I talk about ethics, whenever I talk about business, I talk about attracting more of profits. So I can only attract more and more of profits if more customer base is there with me. If more customers are there, only then I'll be able to have more and more of profits. So if I do such ethical issues, will the customers come? No. So this is what, as an entrepreneurship, must be taken care of. Then the basic case that I think you all know, that's a very, very recent case that have come up, that is Kingfisher airline crisis. You all know how this Kingfisher owner Vijay Mallya ran from India by taking a huge amount of money from banks, and that huge amount of money in the banks became what? Became NPAs. And do you really think that airline survived for longer? That airline is now, no doubt, airline is still surviving, but leading to the downfall, leading to loss of profits, and leading to, what I may say, ethical lapses in the operation. And nobody, being an investor, I always think twice, thrice, or many a times, if I want to purchase a share of Kingfisher Airlines, shall I be doing it? No. Because I'll be thinking twice, thrice, many a times before going for Kingfisher, because that trust have been broken. So that is why these cases teaches us what? That ethical failure actually creates a problem. So that is why ethical entrepreneurship is very, very important. Moving on to the next slide. So if I talk about, wait. So okay. So this is what? Promoting ethical compliances. How we can promote ethical compliances? We have discussed that ethical discompliance, or when we are not complying with ethical thing, how we can promote ethical conduct. So corporate governance have come up in every company, in every business house, wherein you have to be implement you shall be implementing transparency, accountability, and independent oversight to prevent any misconduct that's so ever happening in a company. This is corporate governance standard that have been established. This is what companies act have come up in order to actually drive out, actually, in order to phase out this ethical problems in companies. So if I talk about codes of conduct and training, many companies, many corporates come up, they develop ethic programs, and whistleblower protection is also available. I hope whistleblower policy has been designed after knowing the Satyam computer case only. If you go back towards the whistleblower policy that have come up, that have just came up after Satyam Computer's case that have came up in 1992. So this is also a thing that have come up. Whistleblower is a policy wherein we can directly question the manager, what are the ethics and why the ethics are not being compiled up. Okay, now coming on to the part three, that is sustainable entrepreneurship in India. If I talk about sustainable entrepreneurship in India, the environmental challenge, as we have talked about sustainable, you know, whenever we talk about sustainable, the first thing which comes to our mind is Agenda 21 of 1992. Don't you think? Always and always whenever we talk about sustainable, because this word sustainable is actually when I break the word sustainable development, because we always talk about development, sustainable development, but no one talks about from where this word sustainable has come up. you know if I talk about being an economist or being in business school, I always talk about sustainability in two contexts. We always misuse this word into context. Sustainable is that can sustain itself, means business. You being an entrepreneur have to be very what I must say, have to be very conscious enough whenever you are using the word sustainable. You need to sustain your business, that is also sustainable. Means when you are able to get profits year after year, year after year, that is sustainable profit, that is sustainable business. Means you are able to survive. The survival of yourself is sustainable business. Okay. On another hand, what second word sustainable that came up in the year 1992 by the word sustainable development in Agenda 21 by Brundtland Commission. But let me tell you in grand detail what have come up. You know what had happened in 1991, basically. Brundtland, no, in 1988, Brundtland Commission set up. And that's Brundtland Commission met in 1991, and they came up with the report in 1992. And that report of 1992 discusses about Agenda 21. And that why this is Agenda 21. They have gave up 21 agendas. They gave up 21 agendas regarding sustainability. Whenever I talk about sustainability, I talk about sustainable development now. They talk about sustainable development. They are worried about we are using the resources in such a manner that our future generations will not be able to get it. That is that is the word they gave. Agenda means not they, I can say the conference gave, and Agenda 21 paper gave us sustainable development. And from there I'm picking the word now I'm picking the word again. They took this sustainable in two contexts there. They pick the word sustainable in two contexts, means sustaining the resources for the future generations and using the resources in such a way that must not get exhausted. So similarly, if I talk about environment, we always talk about pollution, why this pollution is happening, why this climate is being getting disrupted, only because of mismanagement, only because of wastage, only because of degradation, only because of overuse of resources. So that is why we need sustained use of resources, and that is why this is sustainable entrepreneurship. We are talking about two things now. Always keep it in your mind. Two things. Whenever we talk about sustainable entrepreneurship, we are talking about our sustainable business practices, first thing. Second thing, if we are talking about sustainable entrepreneurship, we are also talking about the sustainable reuse of raw material or the resources whatsoever we are using while pursuing or doing our own business. So coming on to environmental challenge, to to sustainability of entrepreneurship, coming on to this is climate and resource issue. So as India is facing a depletion and degradation of degradation, so entrepreneurs have to come up with a solution to innovate this. That is why the basic example is what? We have come up with a renewable resource of energy. Who come up with that? The entrepreneurs, basically. EVs have come up. Who came up with that? Again, entrepreneur. So these are the environmental challenges, and that is how we are sustaining our own business, and we are also helping the environment. Then pollution and waste management. Few days back, I gave an example to the class, to my management students again, that the basic business, you might have heard kabadi walas coming to your houses. They take all the unused material, or the material which you don't want in your house, or the used material also, such as cardboard, such as paper and other things, and they do a good business. They earn a very good amount of money. That's a scrap business, you can say. They recycle that and they give up you some money, and they earn a good amount of money, and that's a very good business. That is a thing that have come up. So this is also entrepreneurship idea and sustainable business technique also. So that is, you can say, that is a waste management technique. Okay, now coming the sustainable business models. If I talk about sustainable business models, uh, again, as I've discussed about sustainable business models, just I've discussed renewable energy ventures, that solar, wind, bioenergy projects. These are the projects that actually have proven success stories in India. Gujarat is famous for renewable energy, such as wind energy, solar energy, and other form of Rajasthan is known for solar energy. Such energies, if we are doing it, those business models have to be taken care of. If we are running a business as an entrepreneur, I must take care how I can use these resources. Then eco-friendly products, packaging and green services. As many of I come from Chandigarh. If I talk about Chandigarh, since in 2016, from 2016, Chandigarh is not allowing you to use these polythenes. They're not allowing you to use the plastic poly bags anywhere in Chandigarh. You'll not find even one plastic polythene in Chandigarh. They've discarded every polythene from Chandigarh. That's why that Chandigarh is declared to be city beautiful. Eco-friendly products are required. So being an entrepreneur, being a sustainable entrepreneur, you need to think in that context. So circular economy is an economy that is being studied these days on a very large scales. If I talk about circular economy, that is based on the model of reduce, reuse, and recycle. Means how we are reducing, how we are recycling the products, and how we are reusing it. You know what I and my families do. We bring, suppose, in as I am situated in Greater Noida right now, not in Chandigarh, since I might get so many plastic bags. But what we do, we use plastic bag once, and then we throw it up. And apart from knowing it, that plastic bag is non-biodegradable in nature, and that will not again mixing in the environment, and will create a problem for other species too, and loss of biodiversity will be there. So keeping in mind circular economies, economic strategies are required as an entrepreneur. These are sustainable business models that must be taken care of as an entrepreneur. So moving ahead, what are the government initiatives that have come up? So National Action Plan on Climate Change has come up from the government. If I talk about National Action Plan on Climate Change, they've come up with innovation support. They have come up with resilience towards building policies regarding sustainable development goals. So if you talk about SDGs, our policies, if you talk about the economic survey that have come up, no doubt economic survey that have come out here, that have come up yesterday. And if I talk about the budget is coming just right now. If I talk about the economic survey is talking about AI, and again the climate change as well. And most probably they are also talking about many SDGs as well. So they are actually giving subsidies and imposing environmental laws. You know, basically, being an entrepreneur, you must know the basic strategies that have come up. If, for example, just when I was preparing the slides, I was reading more about it. Then I came across being an entrepreneur. If you want to establish a business, you can get installed the solar panels on the roof of your on your factory or on your business house, free of cost. And whatsoever cost you are incurring, that cost will be paid by the government again back to you. So this is a very good thing, that you must know the regulations and incentives that the government is giving. We shall know about it. So moving forward towards part 4, that is inclusive entrepreneurship and empowering marginalized people. uh Basically, if I talk about marginalized, if I talk about marginal people are those people who are unable to get the access. Now, access to what? Access to the resources of the environment, access to the resources of economy, access to the resources which they require to grow, but they are unable to get it. That is why in India, and Indian economy have come up with the UGC Act just right now, if you know. Marginalized. Why India has come up with the concept of SCs and STs during 1947, when or during 1950, because of marginal thing. You know, huge number of people in India uh, are, if I talk about women also, marginalized again. If I am working in a family, shall I be allowing my wife to work as an entrepreneur and going outside for doing a business? We're not allowing. Why so? Why are we not doing it? Because we have declared them to be marginal, and from this marginal entrepreneurs can be discussed now. What are marginals basically? As I'm discussing it more now, if I talk about marginal is who want to do something but unable to do it. I still remember I joined one conference in 2015 in IDC, Chandigarh, and that conference was marginal people, margins. And this marginal people, if I talk about, the government is coming up with the policies for developing this marginal people, but they are unable to do so because they always remain on margins. They don't come up. And why? Entrepreneurs become marginalized? Because because of finance. Now comes up the video clip that I've shown you. Again, the basic thing is, Paresh Rawal knows that the person who is asking him the question about the idea, he is not having money. That is why Paresh Rawal come up with what? He came up with the concept, go with the idea. Go with the idea. He discusses the idea in a very broader manner. He gives him basic ideas, what he can do, and also ask that I can give the finance. The limited financial options. Again, just now I have discussed if my wife would be there and she wanted to work as an entrepreneur, will my family allow? Most of the people are backed by their thinking. They don't want to. Even if the female workers who female teachers or female professors or female or what I may say people, they are given more work to do. They have to prepare the food for the family and other things. Means, don't you think they become marginalized? And that becomes a social and cultural obstacle to them. We ask our female people to first of all prepare the food for the family, and then go to the work, and then come back, then again make the food, and also take care of the children. So don't you think this is a social and cultural obstacle? Now, moving forward toward what I must say is, what are the strategies of promoting inclusivity? What are the strategies that come up for the promotion of inclusivity? Uh, the government of India have come up with a skill development program, skill enhancement. That is always and always. Even I have came across the people with PhDs are again don't have skills. They have a number of research papers. They know how to research. They know everything to do, but the skills lack of skills. So training of the people is very much required in entrepreneurship as well. Microfinance expansion must be given. Regional rural banks are available in India. Priority sector lending norms are available in India, but we are ignorant. We are not knowing about that thing. So user awareness programs are required. That's why that is what I am saying. Mentorship and networking is required whenever entrepreneurship has to be taken. No, I still remember. This is what the case studies of inclusive ventures have come up. If I talk about Grameen impact, Grameen banks, regional rural banks. If I talk about Grameen banks are regional rural banks that have come up. And India came up with the concept of regional rural banks as 60 to 70% of the population in India resides in rural areas. Because of that, they are not actually getting access to finance. Whenever I say access to finance, they don't have their saving bank accounts, they don't have access to loan facility by the banks, and they remain poor all over their lives. And they couldn't think of doing business or think of becoming entrepreneurs. So what the case study that come up here is inclusive ventures. So what when I talk about inclusive venture, microloans, that is microfinance thing that can be taken care of. India came up with microfinancing in the year 2008. Financial inclusion have come up in India in 2012. Financial inclusion, priority sector lending, there are so many options of finance to the entrepreneurs are available, but still we are not having knowledge about that thing. And that knowledge can only come up by having awareness. If I talk about Seva success model, this is very renowned model that have come up. Seva success model. Seva is what? Self-employed woman. Seva is self-employed woman awareness. Woman, if I talk about Gujarat, I still came across Gujarat government have came up with the concept of Seva model, wherein the women are actually running their own papad business. Even about Rajasthan, they are making a small papad, and they are distributing it all together, and a huge amount of money they are earning from it. Don't you think that's a good businessman should have come in, and that's inclusive entrepreneurship that have come up? So this is also a criteria or of inclusive ventures, and these are the well-renowned case studies. Uh, or you can always come up and talk to me regarding these case studies. I can give you a detailed case approaches, how these cases have come up, and what was a dilemma that was discussed in these cases. Okay, now part five, that is very near to my heart, and these days, as we all are well equipped with AI, and we are one way or the other, we are all of us are talking about AI. So AI means what? Technology and innovation for ethical, sustainable, and inclusive growth. This is very important thing for 21st century, you can say, or for basically for the Gen Zs, what I must say. So if I talk about this, there are two things that have come up with. First of all, digital inclusion strategies. If I talk about inclusion, in one way or the other, if I wanted to, if as I am not a Gen Z, so I still remember today, if I want chocolate or something, I can use Blinkit, I can use Big Basket here, and I can get it within 10 minutes. It is reaching my home. So if I talk in 1996, would that be possible? No. So that is what the digital inclusion strategies have come up. So if you are setting your own business, you must take care inclusion strategies, how digital inclusion is required, because today the people are not having, what I may say, they don't have a patience. They just want everything in 10 minutes. That is why Blinkit and Flipkart 10 minutes have come up. That is why Amazon 10 minutes have come up. That is why you can say Big Basket have come up with, between 10 to 12 minutes, you get everything only in your house. So digital inclusive strategies is very, very much required as an entrepreneur. So expanding, if I still see in the rural areas, such as rural areas of Calcutta, or the rural areas of Punjab, or the rural, very, very much rural areas, the Blinkit is still not working. If I talk about the basic core areas of UP, still the Blinkit is not working, still Big Basket is not working, then uh, expanding. Then what is happening? The rural artisans or the women-owned business houses or the women-owned platforms are lagging behind in this. And this lagging behind means what? They are excluded from the society. And this inclusion is required. So if I talk about this, how this can be helped? By bridging the digital divide. Means enabling digitization among marginalized communities. This is the best technique that we can help. Okay, so moving technology driven solutions, what are they again? Agri-tech innovations. If I talk about the agriculture universities of Hisar, Punjab, because Punjab and Haryana is known for agriculture technology, agriculture techniques. Even UP, many parts of UP is famous for their agriculture, such as sugarcane. So now technological driven solutions as an entrepreneur is very, very much required in order to become inclusive. As they were exclusive, in order to become inclusive, agri-tech innovations that are very much required, such as precision farming, drone technique, okay, and apps that are helping to boost the productivity. Now the farmers have started using it. Now the farmers used to see if it will rain tomorrow, so they will put a shed over the crop so that crop may not get distorted. So this is what the agri-tech innovation have come up. So being an entrepreneur in agri business, don't you think this is very, very important? So coming forward towards clean energy technologies, as I've already discussed about renewable energy resources and renewable energy things, solar irrigation, then biogas systems. Biogas system, if I talk about biogas system, is not new. Biogas plants has been installed since 1980s or 1970s. But the use of biogas systems were there, but they were not being used properly and extensively. That is why, because of technological enhancement, now it is available free of cost, and government is providing you money to install, to get it installed in your houses and businesses. That is very, very good thing, and that is how the government is helping inclusion of entrepreneurs. Okay, so data for social good. How this data for social good is being taken care of? If I talk about impact measurement tools, track social, economic, and environmental outcomes to validate venture effectiveness. How you can see how is this a social good or not? Means you are doing a business and you are an entrepreneur. How will you look that my business is sustainable or not? I can look towards it by measuring the impact, by measuring it, and by impact measurement tools, I can track the social, economic, and environmental outcome of my product, and from that product, I can see how much my venture is effective. Because the people are also start people have also started looking towards the ventures and they buy products from those ventures who are sustainable, who are not creating any problem to the environment, because people are becoming aware. So that is why this data for social good is very, very required. Then transparency via analytics also can be done. If I talk about transparency via analytics, how this can be done? This can be done by reporting. Many companies have come up with the concept of ESG, environment, social, and governance. And this ESG is mandated in India for every company in 2022. And if I talk about ESG norms, they come up with these ESG norms, and this reporting is very, very much required for a company. And if I talk about company, if company is involving in ESG, then it is getting more customers, and because it is getting more customers, it is also getting more investors, and good investors too, and sound investors too. So this is the thing. Now coming to part 6, that is role of education and awareness. How we can create awareness for inclusion, for sustainable entrepreneurship. How we can do that? By including it in curriculum of the students. I still remember when I was pursuing my BCom honors in financial management, we have been taught one subject, entrepreneurship development program. In those program, I still remember we studied about ethics, we studied about sustainability, and we also studied about inclusion of entrepreneurs. And here I have written, if you see the line here, I have written inclusion to train socially conscious entrepreneurs who are socially conscious about this. They're thinking about the society, and they're thinking about the environment as well. Then, if I talk about experiential learning methods, also, we can always introduce the subject like entrepreneurship in uh, MBAs, or we can start courses such like that in the universities, or wherein the students may take up those courses not to get a job, but to start their own job, but to give others a job, but to start their own business. That is what the students can do. Experiential learning methods can help students to simulate and with ethical decision making too. So awareness campaigns that I've already discussed, promoting responsible consumption and recognizing ethical leaders, that is very, very important. Okay, now part 7, if I talk about conclusion. Basically, if I talk about if I talk about concluding this whole together. So what I've discussed altogether, if I really wanted to be an ethical entrepreneur, I must be sustainable, environmentally sound. Because if I'm sustainable and environmentally sound entrepreneur, only then I'll be able to get more of customers. And if I'm able to get more of customers, means I'm able to attract more of profits. And in altogether, my business would sustain. And that is what, always carry in the mind. Sustainability not only relates with environment, it is also related with your sustenance in the society. How many years you are sustaining as a businessman, how many years your business is sustaining, how many customers you're attracting day by day. That is also a sustainability. So emerging opportunities, if you talk about future trends, impact investing and social enterprises, offer growth in ethical, sustainable sectors. This is very, very important thing that I've written up. I'm again discussing in detail. Future trends that are what? Because we are suffering from climate change, as you all know. We are suffering from water depletion at a very huge scale. That is why ethics, that is why sustainable for ourselves and for society and for environment, both is required. So if I talk about recommendation, I really wanted government to come up with the norms and incentives to support this ecosystem of sustainable entrepreneurship, of ethical entrepreneurship. This is what and what is a call to action? What I call empowering entrepreneurs. They must cultivate, if I being an entrepreneur, I have started a business, I'm only thinking about myself earning profits. Will it be feasible for the society, and would it be feasible? No. That is why I really wanted to empower entrepreneurs uh, by cultivating in them ethics, sustainability, and inclusion. And final impact vision is what I always wanted, as the ventures to be there, which drive social and environmental change in India. Because gone are the days when we only think about ourselves, gone are the days when we only think about ourselves, keeping environment behind. Because we all are thinking about what? We all have started thinking about climate change. We all have started thinking about future generation. We all have started thinking about sustainable development. Now only we are not only talking about our own profits. We are also talking about keeping in mind the environment, the climate change. So this is all for my the day. Uh, Thank you for listening to me. I hope if you have any doubts, I can answer the questions.
Uh, Thank you, sir. It was a very wonderful session.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Now I request participants to write their questions in the chat box. Um, Sir, there is no question from the participant side.
Okay,
Um,
madam.
Sir, your session was really wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Sir, in fact, what I think nowadays, big companies also look for sustainable businesses for the carbon credit and to purchase the carbon credit, and they are moving towards net zero thing.
Mm.
Uh, so, sir, there is one question from my side. Sir, how can future entrepreneurs in India balance profit and sustainability?
Okay. Uh, if I talk about renewable resource of energy, if they, as I've discussed previously too, if they combine their businesses with sustainability, they can enhance their profitability. Means they can go hand in hand. The profitability and sustainability may go hand in hand. If I really talk about Tata, take an example of Tata. Tata was actually deriving a very good brand, and they were actually working in a now if I talk about Tata and other good companies who are actually coming with the cars, they have started coming with EV vehicles. Now people are also purchasing EV cars, EV bikes, no doubt. But now what have come up? No doubt they are earning profits by selling EV vehicles. So this is how by actually combining sustainable concerns in the business can enhance profitability of the business. This is how they can come up with the business models.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, there is one question in the chat box.
No.
I'm reading it from Sakshi Narayan ma'am. How can digital platforms and fintech support inclusive entrepreneurship in rural and semi-urban India?
How can I get it once
Yes,
again?
sir.
How
How can digital platforms and fintech support inclusive entrepreneurship in rural and semi-urban area?
Okay, if I talk about digital entrepreneurship, uh, digital support in rural and semi-urban areas. Actually, I've already discussed about this thing that still uh, digitalization is backing, and the government is working, and the government is really working on the excess of digitization to all the people. Thanks to Reliance, that we have reached from 2 GB data to 2 GB data per day. I still remember we could have only used 2 GB data for 3 months, for 1 month, when in 2012, I hope, and now in 2026 I can use 2 GB data in a day. That is how the government is also working. That is how the businesses are also working to enhance and giving the taste to the people regarding innovation. And still, if the latest report have come up, if yes, if the latest report have come up, I really don't want the rural areas must get access to digitalization. They must get the access to digitalization for entrepreneurs, but not for students, because the latest report have come up that students are using mobile phones not for the development, but they are using mobile phone for such a usage which couldn't be used at all for in the rural areas. That I have the latest report of I have read it few days back in one of the newspaper that have come up that students are using the mobile phones not for their own development. They are using the mobile phones either to play the games or to access to such a metal which they shouldn't do. So that is an answer to the question.
Um, so there is no more question in the chat box.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very wonderful and insightful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your valuable insights.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Participants, now Dr. Neeraj Kumar Singh sir will take over the session and he will start the valedictory session shortly. So please be connected with us. Keep connected with us. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. So, participants, now it's a time for a ending up of the faculty development program of the 7 days. Please give us 5 minutes. Let the guests join us with from their end because they are having some technical issues, and then we will start the session. And Dr. Neeraj Kumar Singh will take over the session as a host. So please stay tuned with us. Feedback form will be shared on your WhatsApp group, and even whatever the queries